if y'all had any more thoughts from previous, but,
Mark, here's some 11 to 17s in case everybody wants to have them. There's one for everybody.
and if you need to reference, these are the ones here that I took the notes on last time, so we'll know which option's which, here. But, sorry, Joe. But we have this first option here, and I say first, but this is the new area behind the softball field that has everything with it. That has the track, field, pretty much the whole 9 yards. And I think our total on that one was gonna be roughly, 8.7 million plus the 9.5 acre purchase on that one. Then we had, option 2, I'll call it, which was the current field, but rotating the field so we can get a track around it, which we'd still have to buy, I think, 3 acres.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was 7.9 million, plus buying the 3 acres. Then the last option was, doing a new football field behind the softball field, but, no track involved in it, but you could add later, which was 6.7 million plus the land. And on that one, I think it was, I forgot the acreage on that one. Oh, 6.5 acres to purchase on that one that you could add later. But, I mean, just for me, my opinion, if we're gonna look at options, I think we look at the 2 with the track, because that was the whole point of us going away from the original plan of the 4.5 million, to redo the current field, was to work on something on getting a track. So, anybody disagree with that?
Well, and just a reminder, it's not just the track, soccer's included in that as well.
Right, so yeah, it'll be laid out for soccer and track and field.
It's a multi-purpose field.
Multi-purpose, yeah. So, and I think Dr. Winningham, he stepped out, but he had mentioned before about, and I think some of y'all did, about some community involvement, so, and I'd be happy, we could set up some dates, maybe at the chamber, the high school mini theater, you know, publish it in the paper, to have some of the community come over, look at the options we're looking at. Obviously, the cost is a huge aspect of it. You know, the possibility of going to the county commission, presenting the options to them, and, you know, asking for some support that they could possibly give us, to help do this as well. And, you know, we look at the track option, you know, we look at it as a community investment, because we'll leave the track open for the community to use. Obviously, at nighttime, it will be, you know, monitored, locked up, and things of that nature, so.
My office, and I think, speak to Don here, his office as well. If you do that, we're glad to have these, mounted on a board.
Okay.
And put on easels, and we're happy to attend those meetings.
Okay.
Explain, answer
With
questions.
public. Yeah.
So do you guys think maybe possibility of going county commission first, trying to get some feedback from them? Then, based on that conversation, going community and getting some feedback from the community, on the 2 options?
I would almost switch it.
Go community first? I'm fine with that.
I believe if you get that support, that'll help.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
And plus, what you'll find is that once the word is out there that there's gonna be a community, you're gonna have county commissioners. It won't be all 22, or, I mean, you'll have 3 or 4, but they'll be the ones that are influential, that carry the voice and can sway others.
Yeah. So let's look at community meetings. We'll do, we'll do the high school mini theater.
If
Obviously,
you wanna do several of them in different areas of the county.
Yeah.
A lot of times counties, on a big building program, they'll, every Tuesday night for 3 or 4 consecutive nights, in different areas.
So let's-
However you wanna do it, just.
let's do LA, Rickman, Allens,
You need to do them all.
Hillham. I mean, in my opinion, you know, the smaller schools, middle school, all that, they can come to the LA one if they want to come there. Then we'll be one in Wilson.
Well, yeah.
So really, that's 5 different events, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events, that we can do. Then after we do those 5, and I'll try to do them, I'll try to stagger them, if we can do a couple during one week. That way I can try to get the process moving and get some feedback, from there, but we'll just have to I'll have to look at my schedule and figure out what days and nights we can do that. Dr. Winningham, as far as, you know, going back to school and everything, would it be okay if we had those meetings there? And
I think so. It'd be better than having them here because
Yeah.
you can spread out more there.
Yeah.
You know, if we had to, we could get the gym of those buildings.
Well, we can start out like at LA at the mini theater, then if we see that it got big, we could go to the gym or something.
We can social distance there better than we could here.
Okay.
As you can see, we can get 26 people, I guess, in here.
Yeah.
Or even the chamber, you know,
Yeah.
it would still be
Yeah.
limited, it's not much bigger than this if it is.
Well, if it's pretty, do them outside. Could not do
We could
that?
do it outside. It would be maybe a little more, difficulty as far as the acoustics is concerned, but yeah, we could meet outside. If it's nice out there.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody can.
If we had those meetings outside, could we do those in the evenings instead of in the
Oh,
afternoon?
yeah,
We'll do it
yes.
12 a day.
Yeah.
We won't do it in the heat of the day.
Now, like Wilson, Rickman, Hillham, Allens, we could just go ahead and say we're gonna do it in the gym, because we can talk loud enough, I can talk loud enough so
Yeah.
that people can hear me. Then we'll start out the high school in the mini theater, then if we see that it gets bigger, we can move it.
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
So I'll work on the dates and try to get those knocked out pretty quickly. I'll take these two options with me, and I'll just email you all the dates. Then, I mean, I think I've got enough information.
Mike, you can have this set right here too, clean. You can have everything that we've got here.
And, I'm gonna use these, cause these are the notes I took
Yeah.
from the call that's got the information on them. Then once we get the feedback from the community, then, we'll schedule a meeting with the county commission and go over the options with the county. Then, based on that and feedback from the community also, then during that time, if y'all are there and kind of recruit, you know, some folks that'll go to the county meeting with us too, that way we've got some community support at the county meeting, I think that'd be great, to kind of show that as well.
Let me ask you, from our standpoint, what are we gonna present? Are we gonna present 3 options?
I think we present two.
So what 2
I
are we?
think the one being new, everything behind the softball field, then option 2 being rotating the field
Okay.
down there now. But-
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, long-term for the money, if we can get support somewhere and do the brand new one behind the softball, I think that's the best area to go. I mean, we can't afford it on our own, based on our fund balance and, but I think if we can get some support somewhere, I think that's the best long-term goal, because it leaves that current field down there for middle school outlaws to use, band to use, practice on. Then, you know, like I said, for the money, long-term, the difference on it is,
Well,
800,000.
yeah, and just to remind everybody, the one over behind the softball and baseball field, we can add some restrooms
Yeah.
and to take, you know, to support those programs as well.
You're looking at a rough difference of $800,000. So, you know, are you gonna redo your current field when you can go up top and get a brand new facility for $800,000 extra? Like I said, pending the support, because we're gonna have that to make
Will the
it
new
work.
field be artificial turf?
It won't. I texted him about that, and all these quotes are all natural grass.
You're probably looking at probably $1 million plus or minus for that.
So it will be natural grass.
But that's something that we could plan for, it could be added in 3 or 5 or 10 years.
Later on
whatever.
down the road.
I think it'd be good if we ever could get that.
Well, I mean, like I said, 5 years down the road, if we see
I
we
mean,
can
they
afford
heard
it.
about the band could go over if they need to use it for some reason, it ain't messing up the field if it's artificial turf.
Which plans are you talking about, Mike, as far as consideration?
The new behind the softball with everything,
Okay.
or rotating the field at the current
Or the
facility.
existing.
Yeah, because both of those have track involved.
If I have it right on these 2 sheets, it's option 2 and 3.
Does
You're
my
talking
option say
options
here?
1 and 2, what you want? Options 1 and 2.
Exhibit 2.
That's what I named it.
Exhibit 2.
Mine don't say exhibit on it.
It does down the very
Down
bottom,
the corner.
left corner at the bottom. If you hold it up long way, it's right bottom corner. That's it.
These are.
Which exhibit's this one? New everything.
That is exhibit 3.
Three.
No. Exhibit 2 is
Exhibit
everything.
2 is new everything.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so then
Exhibit 3,
exhibit 3 is rotating.
rotating,
Okay.
and our current facility.
So based on their numbers, we're talking about exhibit 2 and 3. I said option 1 and 2.
7.9 million or six,
Roughly cost, counting land and everything, option exhibit 2 would be 8.8 million. That's the new behind the softball, new everything.
8.8.
Yeah, roughly 8.8. That's counting buying the land and everything. Then exhibit 3 would be rotating the current field and adding the track. Would be roughly 8 million buying land and everything.
3 was, no track at all.
No, well, our exhibit 1 would be,
Yeah, 3's got a track.
no, exhibit 1 would be new behind the softball with no track.
Right.
And, but it's set up that you can add later if you wanted to. But we're just looking at exhibit 2 and 3 because that's got the track incorporated with it. So everybody good with those options and that plan?
What's your target for trying to have the meeting, like in August, starting in August? or-
It's middle of July. I mean, I'd like to get them done quick. I mean, I'd hope by the middle of August I'd have them all done. That be fair with everybody?
Sooner the better. If everybody can make it work in their schedule, that wants to attend.
Yeah.
What night of the week are you thinking? Do you wanna vary it one week, keep Monday and Thursday?
Yeah, I can.
one week?
It just depends on my schedule and if I'm out of town, what's good for you all? What nights?
Monday nights are not.
Monday's
First-
not?
Yeah, the first Monday of the month,
Okay.
I've got a standing meeting,
So Tuesdays or Thursdays?
other than the second Thursday, but if it ends up being the second Thursday, I'll make accommodations.
Well, I mean, like I said, pretty much, we're just getting the feedback from the community, and I think I've got enough information to answer their questions. Tuesdays and Thursdays, be okay with you all?
Yeah, I would stagger it, and we also, I think that we need to have the understanding, that we all can't make all those things.
Oh, that's- yeah,
So
yeah.
Staggered, and you probably definitely wanna go to the school you
Yeah.
represent, you can go, but.
Yeah, and I'll head it up, I don't care a bit, and I'll just, anybody there, I'd appreciate, anybody that wants to come and be there. I'll do like Johnson Controls did to me at the county commission meeting, they just had it to me.
John, what's the average life expectancy of artificial turf?
I don't, I've got a number in mind, but let me just double check before I
No problem.
put my foot in my mouth.
Well, I think the maintenance is gonna be a major issue, just going with grass. I mean, it's an issue now, just using for football.
So either one of these, exhibit 2 or 3, down the road, could it be converted to artificial turf?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's something.
No,
that we
so-
could-
so-
That's something that we could design into the project and get an alternate bid, so on bid day. Currently, projects, I recently had over $6 million school renovation project, last month. We opened bids, it was 4.5 million. So, that tells me contractors are looking for a backlog of work.
So can we bill that in, knowing that, hey, this is the dollar amount we wanna spend, whatever that is?
We could design it both ways and take an alternate price on it, and if it fits within the budget, accept it and move on.
So the thing between natural grass and artificial turf is the drainage system. And so we've got to make sure that we allow and put the drainage system in now. If you feel that long-term, there's gonna be artificial turf installed.
I think we set it up for
I
doing
think
that
we
long
could
term.
do that.
You all agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think during the setup, which option we go with, I think
Sure.
we set it up that way.
With that in mind,
With that in
I
mind.
think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And throughout the project, if we see we're gonna save $1 million, then, hey, let's go ahead and do it while we're doing it,
I'd love for it.
so.
one thing that you could do, you're talking about having shared resources. Of course, back in my high school days, I was in the high school band and we traveled all I was in West Tennessee, but we travel all over Middle Tennessee and the state doing band competitions. And so, you know, having those kind of facilities, that can be a big draw here, you know, and those bring money into the community. And so those are resources that are just more than just a one-time use that provide benefit to a number of people.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions for John or Don? That's pretty quick. So exhibit 2, exhibit 3, I'll look at the calendar, set the dates Tuesday night. Thursday night, I'll get with you to look at the schools on the nights to make sure there's no conflict there. Then we'll publish those in the paper.
You're gonna try 2 or 3 a week, aren't you?
I'm gonna try to do at least a couple a week, so, yeah, get them knocked out pretty quick.
So you're talking about 5 or 6 meetings, 5 community meetings plus minus, plus a county commission meeting.
Yeah.
That's just talking at a public comment session.
Yeah, so the first 5 meetings we're gonna do at the schools to kind of get the public's feedback, us present to them what options we're looking at, the cost, you know, having maybe them to give us some feedback on funding as well. You know, if there's any local community support, that'd be great too. Then at that point, whatever the feedback we get, and if we recruit, you know, some community members to go to the county commission meeting with us, then we'll, you know, take that to the county commission, show them the options. And, you know, when we did the Johnson Control Energy Program presented to them, you know, we kind of laid the groundwork of the needs of doing something because of the shape the stadium is in now. So they know that it's out there. It's just, like I said, I think the big issue is gonna be the funding and what support we can get to cover that, so.
If, depending on community involvement, would some of those meetings be combined? You know, if you're only gonna have 4 or 5 people at a meeting, would it not be better to combine that so we don't have 5?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with doing that. I mean, if you wanted to do Wilson and Rickman together, all at Rickman, I mean, I think they could drive there more than they, you know, could come all the way to town. Then, you know, that cuts it down to 4. You know, obviously, any parents with middle school or anything like that, they can come to LA meeting. I mean, you think Hillham and Islands could be combined into one?
I would assume so. If you combine those and then your town, that knocks it down to 3 meetings.
3 meetings. Are y'all fine with that?
County commission meeting.
What's that? I didn't hear it.
I mean, what we'll do is we'll say, we're gonna have 1 meeting for Islands and Hillham community at one place, then we'll have 1 meeting for Rickman and Wilson community, then the other one will be LA for.
Just make sure you don't leave someone out, cause they'll tell you we pay taxes in this county.
Well, I think we've got everybody, right? I mean, all the schools, then anybody with AH or LMS that wants to attend, they can attend the LA meeting. Then, obviously, hey, if they can't attend one night in Hillham or something, they wanna come to the LA meeting, I mean, they could come to that one. I mean, it's gonna be the same info, it's just, we're just gonna give them 3 options to come to
Just have 3
meetings.
meetings and let everybody come to any.
Yeah, they can pick any, it's gonna be the same info, they just kinda give them some feedback. So we can combine it to 3, y'all fine with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'll get the dates, I'll get with Dr. Winningham, make sure the schools are good, that we can do those, and, we'll send it out to the papers, I'll send it out to you all, then once we get that, we'll find out when the next county commission meeting is after that, then we'll, try to get on their agenda to present to them too. Good?
And
All
before we leave that, once our information's gathered, our budget committee will meet and determine where we're at on dollar amount we think we want to spend, can spend out of our fund balance for that.
Yeah, and that'll be very helpful, because that way we'll know what we need to go and say that here's what we're gonna spend and what we need support on. That's a good idea.
So Mike, when do you, I know you haven't set up meetings, dates yet, but did you say when you expect to have these meetings over and meeting with county court before?
No, we're gonna do the community first.
No, I know
Oh.
that, but I mean, before the next, at what?
Well, it depends on when the county court meeting
Okay,
is.
that was my question.
Yeah, so once I have these 3, I'm hoping to start them next week. So once I have and I may start on Thursday of next week, that way they'll have time to get in the paper, because I think the papers come out today. So I may start them next Thursday, that way there'll be time to be published on Tuesday in the papers, then people can start attending Thursday, then hopefully a couple weeks, be done with those. Then once we're done with those, we'll figure out when the county commission, and it may be a different date than when our next board meeting is, before we have that, so. But we'll have to work on their schedule on that one. I think we go in front of the whole county, not just the education committee. Y'all agree?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
If you're gonna have 3 meetings and you got 5 schools,
yeah.
you need to name the 3 meeting places, I guess.
So we'll probably do LA, Rickman, and, well, I'll name them in the paper whenever I decide, based on the feedback from the principals and if they've got anything going on there. I know they're getting ready to, people getting ready to go back to school and start some work and things, and,
Back to school buying still picking
yeah,
up.
they'll be doing the drive-through back to school bash and all that stuff, but, once I get the 3 dates, I'll get with Dr. Winningham, we'll make sure the places, then we'll get it in the paper, and, hoping to have that out next Tuesday, to the papers, so. What is today, the 14th? All right, any other questions? John, Don?
Just, look forward to working and hoping to get the message out there, so.
Write us a check on the way out, so.
Leave that door. Live with the door.
Correct change too.
Yeah, there's no coins.
Nobody's taking cash nowadays.
No coins. Y'all have anything else? Good? All right, appreciate it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I guess we'll be done with this work session
Just,
until we get to air.
stay in touch on dates, and if you
I
come
will.
up with some questions,
Okay.
beforehand, share them with us, and we'll come prepared.
Perfect. And I may, the night of the meetings, I may just write on the back of these or something, that way I keep all my information together on
We'll bring
these.
some out at